Can we start our video? Oh my God, you're gonna drink. So welcome everybody to the channel. Today we are doing a couples Q&A. We decided to continue doing it in this format because it's a better sound and we feel like we are having like a real conversation. First, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Revolve for sponsoring this video. I'm wearing this gorgeous top, but right now we're gonna get into the video.
And if Revolve wants to make some stuff for men, I'm just letting you know I'm here for it. Okay, I'll wait. I'll be patient. I'm here for it.
Okay, so the topic of our Q&A today is how we stay together after 10 years and 3 kids.
The fact that you're drop dead gorgeous helps a lot, but let's continue.
That's why I chose red and risque today.
The stuff like this is what keeps it together, people.
So this is a bunch of questions that you guys submitted. So we're gonna be answering those. So how do you prioritize your relationship over your children? Everyone wants a deeper explanation. So it's based on this video we did that was saying these are the rules in our marriage that makes people angry. And then there were 3 points. And one of the points were we prioritize each other over the children. And that started a riot. First of all, it started a riot because people took it very literal when they, they're like, oh, you shouldn't neglect your children. So that was really interesting. But I feel like parents got it. Like the parents that commented on it were like, yeah, go. People want to know how we prioritize, like examples of how we prioritize our relationship over the children.
So I remember going through the comments of that post and people basically saying, like that's wrong. People were saying directly and implying that it's wrong that we prioritize ourselves over our children, that we prioritize our relationship over our children. So I think that's worth addressing because I think a lot of people are sitting here thinking, well, why are you prioritizing your relationship over your kids? The reason why, in my opinion, is because the relationship of the parents is the foundation. The relationship between the parents is the foundational element of the family. And having a strong family stemming from a good, stable, happy, and nurturing relationship between the two parents, that provides such a more profound benefit for the children than us neglecting each other and just constantly putting them first. In the very short term, it'll benefit the kids. But in the long term, it won't benefit the kids. In the long term, seeing an example of a good and stable relationship between their parents to set an example for how their future relationship is going to be, I think is really, really important. It also allows us to kind of, I wouldn't say take attention away from them, but by prioritizing the attention to our marriage, we don't hover over them. We're not looking at every little thing that they say and do. We're not helicopter parenting, which gives them the freedom to also, to a certain degree, develop on their own.
On a personal note, we both came from like household where we took example of what we don't necessarily want to do in a relationship with our significant other, but that's a decision we had to make like consciously. We had to be self-aware enough to not, I guess, repeat the same mistakes. But a lot of children, they emulate everything that they see in the household. So for me, it was kind of a very clear thing from the beginning when I met Gary and when we got married, that I want to make sure that the example that our kids, especially 3 boys, like see, it's proper and it's nurturing and it's love and it's support. And I think we're doing
I agree. Job. It's not
always. Sometimes.
No, listen, it's not only the example that we set, but by us prioritizing our relationship, we're happier. We're happier individuals by being in a relationship, by being in a marriage that we're truly both happy about being in. And the fact that we enjoy being with each other, that happiness that emulates from you and I, that translates into everything for the kids on a day-to-day. So let's say, for example, if I'm happier, I may not snap at the kids when they misbehave. If I'm happier, I'll be more patient with the kids when they misbehave. If I'm happier, I'm just more thoughtful and I pay more attention when I'm thinking about what to say to them when I'm trying to teach them a lesson. It really is the foundation. It's the foundation to the family. It's the foundation to everything. So ultimately, it's really the most important thing. And I think a lot of parents will say that, well, you do too many date nights, you're away from the kids too often, or you take trips without the kids and not including them in every single moment of your life is detrimental to them. And I just disagree with that. It, number one, strengthens on our relationship, And number two, it does give them that time and freedom to explore life on their own without us around all the time.
And I think something that always scares me is, I always think about, well, our children are going to get older and they're going to leave. And I don't want to get to a situation where once the kids are out, we're both looking at each other and be like, who are you?
Yeah, that would suck.
What is that? So I think it's a very important thing for us. We have the date nights. We'll prioritize, especially because we have so many of the day-to-day things. Like parents would know that when I say prioritize, it doesn't mean that we're taking a lot of the time from the children. It's just we're carving out intentionally room for just him and I, because once you have kids, there's constant situation, and Gary will attest to it. Like sometimes we'll go out, just him and I, and I'll be like, oh, we should have brought the kids, or oh, we should have done this with the kids.
That's like all the time. All the time.
Right, but that's what happens when you become a parent. You constantly feel like you have to be around them, you have to be with them constantly, and it actually becomes a bit of a, like a toxic thing, because you don't allocate time for yourself, you don't allocate time for your relationship. So by me stating that we prioritize time with each other is just really intentionally carving this time of just him and I without the kids, making sure that they're taken care of, that everything is great, they're busy with their own thing, and we have our time.
It's not just time, it's mental bandwidth too, right? I don't have to make a point to think about you more. I just do, and it's just natural. And again, I don't want people to mistake that we completely don't care about our kids. It's just not the case. But again, it comes back to the fact that our relationship is the foundational building block of their future happiness. And I think that quote in itself, that sentence I just said, is probably one of the most important things. What are you laughing at? It's one of the most important things. No, because it hit me, and it I think it's a good thing.
I agree. I don't want by no means people to mistake like we're some experts and everything just flows and is always perfect and we know how to balance everything. We don't. So we have an understanding of what needs to be done. For me, I'm still, being a woman in today's society, having business and work and the kids and marriage, it's very overwhelming and it's very difficult. And I don't always, it's never like smooth for me. So there are a lot of occasions where Gary has to like shake me and be like, no, we are going. And I'm like, okay.
Can I talk about like a perfect example of prioritizing the kids? Right now, Benjamin is outside with his face up against the glass, wanting to be let in. What's up? Did you want to say something to us?
I just want to look.
You just wanted to look?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the age difference affect your strength in the relationship? I think to a certain degree, because I feel like if we were in the same age, I think that just from our inexperience together, we would probably hit certain, kind of issues that it's our first time for both of us dealing with, and we will probably make a lot of mistakes in order to learn. But I think that Gary's experience in life, like the fact that he is older, there are a lot of situations that we face that he's already been there before, and he has just a more experienced approach to it, and then teaches me how to approach the situation or find my own, kind of angle on the situation. So I think that it does affect the relationship, the age difference, in a good way.
We don't really have any other frame of reference, right? So I've never been in a long-term relationship. Obviously, I've never been married before. I've never been with somebody before you for, a decade of the same age. And so I don't know, like being married, all I know is being married to you, and I'm 18 years older than you. I'm really happy in our marriage. So it's certainly not a detriment. It's certainly not a negative thing for me. But I also think that people find love and have amazing relationships and marriages when they're close to the same age as well.
Yeah, 100%. How do you not feel guilty when you spend time away from the kids?
We don't spend time away from the kids for extended periods of time. Like we can go for a couple of hours. Even last night, like you and I decided we were just going to go walk around and do some shopping. And we were in a couple of stores, and I wanted to go to another store, and you said, but it's 5:30. And I said, so what? And you said, well, I want to get home to the kids. And I said, but why do we have to leave now? And you were adamant about it. So we do prioritize them still, and you did want to go home, but us leaving early didn't have any effect, on our marriage. We're actually going away for the first time, I think, together for a week without the kids. So I don't think in the 10 years that we've been together, since Jake was born and onwards, you and I have never been away, just you and me, for that period of time, for a week.
Yeah.
We've been away where you've gone away maybe for like 10 days, but I was with the kids, or vice versa. You and I have never left the kids for a week straight. I think that's actually kind of crazy. And I think that contradicts the statement that we make, that we prioritize our
But that's
relationship.
but that's not true, because I feel like we find a good balance for us, for our family, to still spend time together, but not get to a point where we're pushing it to a place where we feel like, like guilty about it too much. So I think that's perfect. How do you keep things fresh?
Just do laundry. Get new groceries. I like fresh groceries. I like the fresh stuff.
You know what? I think that so far for Gary and I, like, our life is so dynamic and things change so fast that there's always something going on. We just move too fast.
I think in general, relationships are kept fresh by constant effort into like that each individual puts into bettering themselves.
Yeah.
We both work out a lot and we both really prioritize our health. So I think that's important to stay attracted to each other. You're always developing yourself. Like, you read more than anybody I've ever known. So, I think to keep things fresh is by keeping yourself fresh, by keeping yourself, prioritizing whatever it is that you feel will improve you, whether it's your health or exercise or your knowledge, whatever that may be. And I think if both individuals continue to concentrate on improving themselves, that's essentially how you keep things fresh.
I agree. I don't have anything to add to it. How do you feel when you see other people getting married young? What advice do you have for them? I mean, I don't have any feelings about it. I think that it really depends on the individuals, and who am I to judge someone else's actions and love.
It's not a matter of judging. I mean, I think you're being asked the question, what's your opinion on people who get married young?
Again, I don't have an opinion, because some cases I'm like, based on like the individuals that I know, I'm just like, this is not it. But then some relationship, I'm just like, yeah, like this is it, like, great. Do you know what I mean? It depends on the individuals that's getting married.
It totally depends on the individual. Look, I think that when you say young, like, let's define young, right? Let's call it like teens or early 20s. That's young, or maybe even mid 20s. Most people at that age, from what I've seen, they're not mature enough, or they don't yet understand what they're getting into. To your point, it does depend on the individual, because when I met you, you were 20 years old, but you weren't a normal 20-year-old. You were very mature. You had already lived 5 years independently, traveling, supporting yourself financially. So you were just a very different 20-year-old. So yeah, to your point, it does depend on the individual. But from my experience, yeah, like I do know probably more people that when they got married young, their marriages didn't work out, and they ended up splitting up.
So what advice do you have for those people?
Look, I think the advice that I would have is that if you're getting married young, ask yourself, like, not only base your decision on how much you love and care for the person who you plan on marrying, but also look into yourself and do an assessment of how mature do you feel you are, and if you're ready for it. Because when you agreed to marry me when you were 20 years old, I'm sure you didn't take just into consideration me. You took into consideration yourself. And did you ask yourself, am I ready to get married so young? Am I emotionally ready to commit to being in a marriage for the rest of my life and having kids right away? Because I said to you, we're going to have kids right away. Like, that must have scared you. So what was how did you internally reflect to make the decision to say yes to me?
I felt when I met you, I was kind of like on a certain journey of finding myself, and I think that I had a clear understanding of who I am, but I didn't have a clear understanding of my path, and which obviously understandably so, because I was 20 years old. But when I met you, it's just something kind of hit me where I looked at the path that I thought that I'm gonna go through, and I've realized that the goal that I was trying to reach, like, it can be reached through a different path, which is like marrying young and having kids. At the end of the day, I just really wanted to get to this place where I fulfill myself, not only like on the family front, but in general in love and like self-fulfillment with the things that I do and the things that I'm exposed to. And when I met you, I just truly felt like you are the person that will really be like a great partner, to walk through that, evolving together and learning more and opening up ourselves to different things. And I thought that's when it switched. So that's how I felt, and that's why for me I was just like, it feels right.
Yeah, but you also listened to your mom. Your mom said it was okay. If your mom would have said, no, this guy's trash, they would have been over.
Oh my God, of course. My mom has a very powerful history to base things on, So I definitely relied on like. But
I like the way advice. That you were very honest with me about it. You said, okay, after I told you after like, dating you for whatever it was, 8, 9, 10 days, I said, look, I'm not proposing to you now, but I'm letting you know that I will at some point. And when I said that to you, you said, let's go meet my mother. And you said to me specifically, if my mom is cool with you, then we can continue dating. But if she's not, you're out.
I'm not going into war with my mother. Are you crazy?
No, I know.
There is
I know.
absolutely nothing.
And then you took me to meet your mom, and
That's
it was a whole
that.
thing. And she's like, what do you want? And anyways, that's for another next video. We can talk about
Next
that.
video.
We'll bring Victoria in here and ask her what she thought.
What are your favorite ways to celebrate each other?
My whole life's dedicated to you, so I don't know. Like, everything I do is a celebration of Valeria Lipovetsky. I don't know.
True. I'm so sorry for you. I trapped
Why
you.
are you sorry for me? No.
This is a shrine for
No,
Valeria
no.
Lipovetsky.
No, I don't know. I celebrate all of your... Were you doing Hercules?
How do you keep the romance alive?
What do you mean,
We
how do we
take
keep...
vacations together.
You're like, you have the most vanilla answers on the planet. Yo, we keep it alive because it never died. There's nothing to keep alive. It's like, how do you keep a live person alive? I don't know. They're already alive. How do you keep them alive? Let's say, for example, like there are certain times of the year where you're just extremely busy with work. And I know that I don't have your attention because you're taking care of your responsibilities. And I get that. And, it's that for me, I have the knowledge that you're busy, so I'm cool. So I just kind of back off and I do my thing and I require less attention from you.
This question irritates me a little bit because it's like, I don't know, romance, it's not present
What?
in every single day
Oh,
of your married life.
I thought you were going to say it's not present in our lives. I think it's, I don't know.
Really?
Not in every single day, we're not being romantic every single day.
So, right. So for me, I guess, like, I understand the question, like, how do you keep it alive? So for me, I guess personally, it's when I feel like I have space to attend to me, and busy periods is not like on me being like, you're not giving me enough attention. Like, I can't deal with that. So I think we both understand when it's time to give each other space. I think it's about that communication of like, okay, it's time to like come back together, and that's when date nights happen, and that's when you either like go away somewhere together, or you spend intentional time to reconnect, understanding that this is your reconnecting time. But to me, like, there's a lot of like no romance.
So I don't think people
are
asking because they necessarily want to know how you and I do it. I think they want to know how to do it in general for themselves, and I think that this is probably a reoccurring problem in relationships and in society at large, that people's relationships do fizzle out. I always knew that whoever I marry, I have to be in love with for the rest of my life, and I have to feel excited about for the rest of my life. So
how can you guarantee that? People change.
You cannot. You guarantee it by first of all, you manifest things, and you and I talk about manifestation. It's a popular topic. I manifested you because I knew I would not settle for having a life at any stage in my life, whether I'm 50 years old, 60, 70, 80, doesn't matter. I wouldn't have accepted, and I won't accept, being in a marriage where I'm not in love with the person I'm married to. So my criteria for the person I married became very, very different. I was looking at a person that who can I meet to be in love with forever. And that was the lens that I was coming into this marriage with. So that's how you do it. How do you keep things alive? You go in and you base your criteria about who you choose as, can I love this person for the rest of my life? How do you know? You don't know, but there's certain...
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble, but there are certain like fundamental things about a person. If a person is unkind, the person will continue to be unkind. You are going to be married to an unkind person. You keep it alive by making sure you're not going into a marriage that's destined to be dead anyways. That's how you keep it alive.
Right. And I think that that's where sometimes when you marry young, if you haven't kind of been out there and experiencing the world as an individual, it's very difficult to see those things because we're romanticizing romance, we're romanticizing marriage, we're romanticizing a lot of these things without actually stripping off all this Hollywood movie, scripts, and looking at kind of like the base level of the person that you choose, to spend your life with.
Keeping your marriage alive isn't just about optimizing and exploiting the good times and being romantic and buying flowers and buying nice gifts. It's about the day-to-day. It's about, does your spouse feel that you are kind to them? Does your spouse feel that you support them?
Do you find yourselves getting bored with each other, and how do you combat that? Yeah, of course. I get bored with myself. Do you not get bored with yourself sometimes?
I don't have time to be bored with you because I don't see you like enough. So between you, the stuff that you've got going on with work and everything, and the stuff that I got going on, it's not like we don't see each other that often. So when we do see each other, I feel like I have to catch up with you. Like I have to catch up with what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to get bored. So, to the people asking the question, I'm guessing they're asking the question because they're starting to feel bored with their partner. So keep yourself so busy that both you and your partner, in my opinion, should be so busy. And because you'll be so busy that when you do see each other, you don't have time to get bored because you're just busy. We don't sit around saying, hey, what's up? What's up? We don't do that. We don't sit around.
You don't really get bored with each other. You're boring yourself, and then you bring that energy in, you know what I mean? But it's kind of connects back to that point that Gary made, where it's like if you constantly like evolve yourself, and I don't want to say work, but like when you evolve and you expose yourself to different things and your partner is, on the same kind of vibration, then yeah, there is no boredom because there's always something to talk about, there's always something to discuss, and it's kind of normal. I don't know.
You build a life together and individually too.
Yeah, it's very important for me to build the life individually as well, because I think that it's a lot of weight to put on like a relationship and like one person. So
and you've addressed that in the past.
I did address it. It's one of my favorite captions I wrote. How do you get space for yourself from your partner and your kids? Sometimes I run, sometimes I kind of demand it, to be honest with you. I carve time for myself, which I haven't done lately.
Yeah, you haven't done it in a while.
Actually, because it's starting to get to me. But it's this like knowing where I'm like, okay, I need time. And I come to him and I say, I need space and I need time. And then I even tell the kids like, Mama needs some alone time. I'm very vocal about it. So
on our trip, when we're gone for a week, are you going to be taking alone time? Are you going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go for the afternoon and you can go sit on that beach and I'm going to go sit on a different beach? You think that'll happen? Because that might actually be interesting. I think I'd be down for some of that.
Yeah, that would be a nice little thing to do, for sure. But that's the thing, you just ask for it and we don't take it personally because it's nothing to do with the other person. It's like you have to, refill yourself and spend alone time. I think it's very important.
What were those activities you wanted me to do? You wanted me to take a pottering class with you?
Pottery class.
Pottering. What was the other thing you wanted me to do?
Etiquette
So
class.
Valeria wanted me to take an etiquette class with her.
I'm going to take the boys for an etiquette class. I think that's good. Benny, would you like to go to an etiquette class?
I have no idea what etiquette is. How am I supposed to know?
Etiquette is like a way to like behave at the table or, Yeah? Okay, great.
Why? Do you feel you need help in your table manners?
It's like manners, yeah. Yeah, there's always room to improve. How did you get introduced to each other?
We met through a mutual friend. We weren't introduced. We had a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And we met each other. I expressed interest in you. You expressed zero interest in me. And then our mutual friend, who thought it would be a good idea, somehow brokered the deal.
How do you come to resolution after an argument with your partner? I feel like you love talking about that.
Well, first of all, you can't raise your voice. And I talk about that quite often. You can't raise your voice. You have to discuss whatever the problem is. You have to discuss it in a very calm manner. And it's the same. And you know what? The same way that I discuss things with you in a calm manner, I get super calm and I discuss it with you. It's the same way that I do it with other business partners, with members of the team. It's the same thing. So even if I strongly disagree with somebody and I feel inside like I'm angry, you just got to keep calm and you got to just, keep addressing the situation. So, but the question is how do you find a resolution afterwards?
Yeah. Like how do you find a resolution after an argument?
Well, you find the resolution in the argument, but it's not an argument, it's a debate. So in the debate, you find the resolution in the debate. And if you're angry, you keep calm and you keep putting up like logical explanations and points until you get to the conclusion.
And you listen to your partner. That's important. How do you spark... no, Benny's here. I'm not talking about that.
Just what's the question really quick?
How do you spark intimacy after having children?
You want to know?
He doesn't even
You want to know how
means.
we spark intimacy after having children? That's the answer. You want to hear the answer to that question?
Yes.
What do you think that question means?
We do the cha-cha.
I have no idea what you said.
Great.
Guys, it's simple. You got to prioritize it and you got to make time for it. I mean, I don't know what to say.
How do you plan for the future? I think that the way we plan for the future is we're talking about the goals or the things that we kind of see for ourselves in the near future, and we're taking the steps today in order to get there. But things change all the time. It's very important to, stay open and kind of flow with whatever the tide brings, because a lot of things that happen to us happen, without us planning it to happen. So I think that there's kind of a limit of how much you can plan. At the end of the day, it's just about like attitude, and today we're working for kind of our future selves. So that's for me how we plan for the future. You talk about hiring help and working with the family. How did you come to that conclusion, and how did you decide what you needed?
You come to the conclusion by looking at where you're spending your time. Let's use work as the first example, right? When you started in your career as a content creator, I asked you the simple question of, what does your day look like? And you said to me, I spend an hour a day in front of the camera, and I spend 9 hours a day editing. So,
I suck at editing.
And she wasn't good at it. But I mean, she was good enough at it. I mean, when I say she wasn't good at it, she taught herself how to edit, right? So, I mean, she was great at it. So, when you told me that you spend an hour a day in front of the camera and 9 hours a day editing, I said, well, let's hire a full-time editor. So therefore the editor can spend that, let's say 8 or 9 hours a day editing, and then you can spend your 9 to 10 hours a day that you're working in front of the camera. So that instead of 3 pieces of content a week, that way you can make 6 or 8 or 10 pieces of content a week, because we know that with more good quality content, it would drive the business forward. That's how you do it. You assess where your time is, and you ask yourself, can I hire someone else, or can I hire someone who, quite frankly, not only is going to alleviate your time, but who will do the job better than you? So we hired somebody who was a better video editor than you, because they had studied video editing, and that's what they did. That was the first kind of step that we took in expanding our business. And it's on the personal side as well, right?
On the personal side, it was more of like, what will alleviate the stress and pressure from our marriage? Because we had our first child, Jake. We didn't have a nanny from the get-go. I was like, I'm gonna do it myself.
No, but I
no,
told
you
you
offered. You told me.
I said to you, we should get a nanny 3 months before the baby's born.
Right, and I was like, no, I can do this. And then when Jake arrived, we got Nori when he was 3 months. So I only had 3 months of like doing it by myself. Okay, that's not a long time. But I was 21, and I was clueless. And having a newborn baby and having this like wave of expectations from Gary, it just created, a
What
rift.
wave of expectations? You're making me sound like a tyrant. What wave of expectations did I have on you?
No, I had from you.
What expectations did I place
Where
on
I was
you?
just like, you need to wake up at night. You need to change his diaper. You need to do this.
I said that to you?
I said it to you.
Yeah.
I had expectations from you
Right.
that you could not fulfill. And I feel like that put a pressure on our marriage. And also remember, I was postpartum. So anyways, we kind of we got to the point where Gary's like, we're getting help. This is not what I want from my life. I don't want you to be upset and tired and like, feeling like you're doing it all by yourself. And that's an investment that we're making into our current situation and into our future. So that is how it came about. And once we got Nori, who was an angel, she really helped us to find this like better balance of having that happy home life where we had time to spend with each other, and we had like a lot of happy memories with the kids. She just really helped to kind of take us to the next level, and that was on the kind of personal side.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the question is how do we know when to hire people? Is whether it's on the personal side or on the business side, you assess what it is you're spending time doing, and you then ask yourself, if I hire a professional, somebody who can put in the time, and somebody who's better at it than I am, what's the gain from that? So that's what you have to do. And in the case of, like I mentioned with the videographer, and in the case of anybody else who's in our organization, whether it's our director of finance or our CEO or anybody for that matter, you have to ask yourself is, can those people do a better job than you? And will those people alleviate your time? But the thing that's really important when you're deciding on getting help is asking yourself, okay, once I've alleviated my time, once I've freed my time, what am I going to do with that time? I think that's a far more important question, is what are you going to do with your time? Because there are certain things that you can't hire for. So for example, with our business with Valeria, we can't hire people to be in front of the camera and to literally be Valeria, right? We can't do that. So then we have to make sure that Valeria's time is spent developing herself and her personal brand and developing her talent in front of the camera. So in anything that you do, it's one thing to decide to hire somebody, but if you decide to hire somebody and then just kick back and relax as a result of hiring that person, I think that's going to lead to a lot of unpleasant things. Whereas it has to be both. It has to be how to alleviate your time and how to hire the right person, but also how are you then going to use your time to maximize your situation. And that applies on both the business side and on
And
the
the
personal
personal
and on the
side.
personal side. Because with nannies, for example, if you're hiring a nanny to do some of the more day-to-day, everyday things, as a parent, where are you then going to invest your time? Are you then going to invest your time into having just more of a closer relationship with your child, doing different things with your child that, a nanny or somebody else, there's no value to that person doing it. So again, you have to know where to put your time after you do get the help.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered separating during difficult times in your marriage, and why did you decide to stay together?
Have you ever considered leaving me?
No.
You were about to say, where am I going to go? So then you're basically saying that the reason you
Who
won't...
am I without you? What
Okay,
is that?
That's what you
even-
were going to say?
I was like, where am I gonna go? Who am I without you?
Okay. It's a good thing you added that last piece, because if you were just to say, where am I going to go? That's implying that you're only staying with me because you don't have any other options. But that's not what you're saying.
No, there's always options.
Oh, so you're saying you do have other options.
There's always options for everybody. What do you
Alright.
mean? But no, we never considered separating. Tfu.
I remember years ago, we were at a cafe close to our house, and Jakey was probably 6 months old. I remember we were wheeling him around, and I remember you looked me in the eye and you said, I can't imagine a world without you. There's no scenario in which you and I will be apart. Do you remember saying that to me or no? You probably don't remember. It was like in passing.
Such a romantic.
It made-
Hunt you down.
It made me feel like I have to keep working to ensure that you always feel this way. And I think a lot of other people would have taken it and been like, that's it. I can basically do whatever the hell I want, and this person's not going to bounce. Whereas I took it the opposite way. I took it like, okay, now I have to double down on my efforts to make sure she always thinks this.
Well, I still think that.
Thanks. That's
You're
good to know.
doing a great job.
That means it's working. That means it's working.
Okay, guys, we covered all the questions. Wanted to say a huge thank you to Revolve for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let us know what else you would like us to cover, and we will see you in our next video.
Thanks, guys.